A routine night that would end in tragedy. The streets of Washington, D.C. were alive with their usual evening buzz. Cars gliding past, neon signs flickering, pedestrians hurrying home. It was the kind of night where nothing seemed out of place. But somewhere in the city, beneath the glow of streetlights, a man was finishing up one of his last deliveries, unaware that he was moments away from stepping into a nightmare. Mohammed Anwar was a 66-year-old Uber Eats driver, a hard-working immigrant from Pakistan who had spent years trying to build a better life for his family. For him, the job wasn't just a paycheck, it was survival. Every late-night drive, every food order delivered, was a step toward providing a future for his loved ones. He had done this hundreds of times before. It was just another evening behind the wheel, another night spent on the road. But this night would be different. As Anwar pulled up near Nationals Park, he had no idea that two teenage girls, just 13 and 15 years old, were watching him from the shadows. They weren't there to order food. They weren't looking for a ride. They were predators, and his car was their target. The ambush. The moment they approached, something felt off. Maybe it was the way they moved. Too fast, too aggressive. Maybe it was the way one of them lunged toward the driver's seat without hesitation. But before Anwar could react, the attack had already begun. One of the girls climbed into the car, shoving the gear into drive, while the other pulled out a taser. The sharp crackle of electricity filled the air, followed by a scream. Anwar fought back, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his body straining against the sudden force pulling him in different directions. "This is my car," he yelled. His voice was full of desperation, anger, fear. But the girls didn't stop. They didn't care. The engine roared to life, the car lurched forward, and before Anwar could escape, he found himself half inside, half outside the moving vehicle. His fingers clutched at the doorframe, his feet dragged against the pavement. The car was now a weapon, and he was at its mercy. The desperate struggle. For several terrifying moments, the car sped through the streets, swerving dangerously, nearly hitting bystanders. Witnesses froze in horror, watching a man cling to the side of his own vehicle as it tore through the city. Anwar's body wasn't built for this kind of fight. He was strong, but he was 66, his muscles strained, his grip faltered, his breathing ragged. The girls, however, were relentless. They didn't stop. They didn't slow down. They only went faster. As the car whipped around a corner, the door swung wildly, slamming against Anwar's body. His hands slipped. His feet stumbled. And then, the moment he had fought so desperately to avoid, he lost his grip. The fatal crash. With a horrifying thud, Anwar was flung from the car. His body collided with the pavement, rolling violently before coming to a stop. The car kept going until it suddenly slammed into a metal barrier with a sickening crunch of twisting metal and shattering glass. For a few seconds, the world was silent. Then the screams began. People ran toward the wreckage, their voices frantic. Someone dialed 911.
What's that? What's the emergency?
Staring at Anwar's motionless body. And then, as if nothing had happened, the two girls climbed out of the car, alive, unharmed. But what they did next was even more chilling. They didn't check on the man they had just thrown to his death. They didn't cry, didn't panic. Instead, one of them began searching for her phone inside the car, as if that was the only thing that mattered, the aftermath. By the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. Mohammed Anwar, husband, father, survivor, was gone. The police wasted no time in arresting the two teenagers. The crime was so senseless, so brutal, that the footage of the attack quickly spread across the internet, sparking national outrage. How could children commit such a crime? What had gone so wrong? But no amount of anger, no prison sentence could bring Anwar back. His family was shattered. His loved ones would never hear his voice again, never feel his warmth, never get to say goodbye. The girls were later sentenced, but for many, justice felt hollow. Because in the end, a man had lost his life for nothing. A story that shook an entire nation. And above all, a tragedy that never should have happened. Rest in peace, Mohammed Anwar.